Hi, I'm John, and my channel is In John's Universe. If you're new to the channel, thank you for stopping in and listening. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back. I appreciate it. Today, I want to talk about a very important subject, especially for seniors, but this can apply to anybody. Now, the topic is situational awareness, stay safe and aware. Specifically, I wanted to gear it toward situational awareness for seniors. But again, as I mentioned, it could be for anybody. Now, I guess the ideal thing is situational awareness is being present and alert to one's surroundings. And that's important, especially when you get older. When you're out and about and doing your everyday activities, take a good look at your surroundings. Notice people, vehicles, and unusual activity in the area. Always stay in well lit areas and look for nearby exits in case you have to leave quickly or if there's a situation. And I don't know about you, but in the present day and age, I would avoid crowds at any instance because there's too many things that are happening now. And I just don't feel safe myself in crowds. So that's my tip is, just be aware. Minimize distractions. When you're looking at your phone and you're walking or you're waiting for the bus and you're looking at your phone, you're a prime target for somebody to come near you and steal your wallet or hold you up or whatever they're going to do or give you bodily harm. So, what you want to do is stay engaged every time you're out there. Just again, to use that term, spidey sense. Make sure you are aware of your total surroundings. Have a plan. Make sure that when you're out, that people know where you're going, people that you trust. Give them your itinerary. So in case something happens, they know where you are or where you're supposed to be. Always carry a fully charged phone with you. This is important because you may need it. And plan accessible routes, especially if you have mobility issues like I do. I use a rollator. Sometimes I use my cane. Sometimes I use a mobility scooter. And I have to plan in advance to make sure I can use these things without too much of a problem and I can get around safely. And that's important. So, again, if you have mobility issues, try to plan ahead and think about your surroundings and what you're going to be up against and plan accordingly. Now, what I want to do is I want to relate an incident. Always use your better instincts, especially when you're out and you're new to an area or something like that, because you don't know what you're getting yourself into. When I was a kid, I guess I was 14 years old. I used to take a public bus to high school. I guess I was 14 or 15 at the time. And I remember getting off the bus and I had to go across the street and there was a Howard Savings Bank there. And I would make a left hand turn and go up the next street to the high school that I went to. Now, as I got off the bus and I was starting to cross the street, I just happened to notice somebody outside the bank. And he had a long coat on, but what I did notice that he had a gun in his hand. And quickly I rerouted myself and I didn't even take notice of what he looked like. But I veered left and went the opposite way and I went to school. And I don't think I told anybody because I wasn't 100% sure that I saw a gun, but in retrospect, yeah, that was a gun and it left an indelible mark on my mind. And I mean, it could have been a situation where I could have been taken hostage or something like that. Who the hell knows at that time? If I had, spotted him and he had spotted me, noticed in the gun, or maybe I could have deterred him. But I'm sure he went in there and he went into the bank. I'm almost 100% positive. I went home and told my parents this. And the next day we looked in the newspaper and I think there was an article about an attempted robbery at that particular bank. So again, I can't remember back. That was, oh God, 60 something years ago. So it's hard for me to remember all the details. But yeah, that did happen. And there's other incidences where, my spidey sense went up and my hackles on the back of my neck said, who, you know, get yourself away from this situation, especially if I was walking and I saw a crowd of people that looked like they could have been trouble. I used to work in New York City, so that alone led me to be very vigilant and careful when I was walking and where I was walking to and areas I should have stayed away from and so forth and so on. And I was born and raised in the city, so my parents always told me situational awareness, be aware of exactly where you are and what your exit strategy is going to be. It was ingrained in me when I was a young kid. So again, something that has served me well later in life. All right, so that's the first thing I want to talk about. Now I'm going to cut it here because I'm going to flip my page and I'm going to go to the next segment, which is safety awareness at home. All right, now this is home awareness or home safety awareness. Secure your home. Lock your doors and windows, even for short trips out. Install deadbolts and consider a peephole or security camera. Test your smoke alarms and make sure that everything is working properly. Avoid fire hazards. You don't keep flammable materials in your home that could accelerate and create a problem. Uh, Test your smoke alarms monthly if you have the ability to do that. Now, the most important thing for a senior is preventing falls. A lot of seniors they seem like they always have a problem at home, and home is where the most accidents happen, where they fall. What you got to be careful of is don't have your home cluttered. So when you're walking, either with your cane or with your rollator or your walker or whatever, you have a clear path to where you're going. Now, don't use throw rugs. Throw rugs are, I guess, kind of slippery at times, and they could slip out on you or they can roll up and you could trip over them. I give you, for instance, I got a new floor mat for my bathroom, and it was a beautiful floor mat. I got it at Costco, but it was thick and it was foamy. And when I put it down, yeah, it was great to stand on, but it was up too high. And when I was getting into the tub, I tripped on it a couple of times. And fortunately, I have a grab bar there. So I grabbed the bar and I prevented myself from falling. So after two or three times, I said, "The hell with this." I took the rug and I got another one and I gave it to my son and I said, "Hey, look, this is what's going on with it. But you're more careful than I am, so you use it." And he's been using it with no problem. I mentioned grab bars. Now, grab bars are important, especially when you're older. Again, I think I put three grab bars near my tub area, and it's an aid for me to get in and out of the tub, and I have them on both sides, so it's easier for me to choose one or the other. And I have a seat that sits inside and outside the tub, so I make sure that I sit down when I shower. But I always use those grab bars. Now, when I first moved into my apartment, I got one of those suction grab bars, which wasn't worth the damn. They were pretty. It stayed up, but you couldn't put any support, any weight on it because it would pop off. And I quickly threw that the hell out and went into Home Depot and bought a couple of grab bars and installed them on the studs so they were stable. So that's something that's important. Make sure that you have stability in your own home. Again, make sure your pathways are clear in and out of the bathroom. Make sure that you have good lighting. I have a night light in my hallway that leads from my bedroom to my bathroom. And the night light's always on because I'm always up going to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And the night light's important. I mean, it gives me a clear path and it gives me a visual area to see, while I'm walking in the middle of the night. So another thing you should do is keep a emergency preparedness plan in effect. Keep emergency numbers accessible in case you need them. Have a first aid kit and a flashlight in an easy to reach spot. And preparation equals confidence. So what you want to do is you want to have confidence, especially if it's your own home. And there's a lot of other things that I could discuss, but I guess the best thing is to use your common sense and to prepare yourself for your own needs and just be vigilant. Look around and say, "Hey, look, there's a potential for me in my own home to trip or to fall or to do this." I'll give you another for instance. of something stupid that I did over the Christmas break. There was nobody at my store area, uh, but I was here. My son was up in New Jersey, and another person who has the key to the store was about 2 hours, 2.5 hours away. So I'm in the store by myself. The door to my store, it's in a hallway, was closed. The front doors into the building, I had locked those so nobody can come in that day. And I think it was Christmas Day or maybe Christmas Eve, but I'm almost sure it was Christmas Day. I had nothing to do at home, so I figured I'd come in the store and do paperwork. Well, I'm sitting at my desk and I'm looking either down at the computer, and I said, no, I wanted to move it a little bit, but when I moved the computer, I pulled the speaker wire out of it. And I, got the flashlight and I saw the speaker wire dangling behind the computer. And I said, well, hell, I can get to that. Well, I'm sitting in my chair and I'm looking under the desk. And I guess I was staring at it for maybe 10 minutes, 10 or 12 minutes. And I'm looking, I said, should I get down there? Can I get up? Should I get it? Can I get down there? And I kept saying to myself, yeah, you can get down there. You can get up, so forth and so on. So, and lo and behold, dummy over here gets down on his hands and knees. And as soon as I got down on my hands and knees, I said, let me try to get up. And I tried to get up, and there was no way that I could get up. I mean, I tried and tried and tried. So after about 5 to 10 minutes, I said, God, this is pathetic. I said, what am I going to do? I had my phone in my pocket. I had the phone from my regular landline at the store right in front of me. So I could have called, but I said, they'll have to, if I call 911, they'll break the front door or the lock or whatever. They'll break the lock into the store. And I'm going to try again. So what I did was I positioned my chair against the shelf, and I I maneuvered myself just enough where I slid upwards on the seat of the chair and pushed as hard as I can, and got myself up on the seat of the chair. And once I was sitting up on a chair, I was sweating. And I said, don't ever do that again. And I haven't. And that was something that I learned that I can't do anymore. And again, that's a situational awareness thing. I had better sense. I looked at it and I said, man, I can do it. And again, I guess as I get older, maybe I got a little bit more stubborn and say, hey, I can do this. I used to do that with no problem, so forth and so on. But I'm not doing that anymore. All right. Well, the third part that I'm going to get into is automobile safety awareness. So, what I want to do is talk about tips for safe driving. Now, stay focused on the road. Avoid distractions like cell phones, eating, or fiddling with the radio. Yeah, sometimes I do that. I don't use the cell phone anymore. Or if I do, I put it through Apple Play and it comes through the speakers on the car itself. That's a minimal distraction for me. But I'm always aware of my environment when I'm driving. Keep both hands on the wheel, which is obvious, and your eyes on the road. I've seen a lot of people who steer with their elbows, who have their phone in their hands, and they're talking up a mile a minute, and they're texting, and that's a no-no. Now, this is obvious. Maintain your car, especially if you're older. You don't want to get stuck someplace in an area, especially in an area that's not accessible easily, and you're kind of stranded. So make sure that you always, have your brakes, your tires, and your lights checked, and keep the car maintained, especially if it's an older vehicle. I mean, anytime at any given time, something can happen to a car, but this is something that you should be aware of to keep, keep alert and keep aware of what's going to happen when you're out and about. You don't want to get stuck. Ensure mirrors and seat belts work properly and are adjusted before you head out. Plan your routes. Use the GPS. And I'm going to clip this right on here so I can refer to it easily. Let me get into it right here, and I may cut out that section. Again, use GPS or maps to plan your trips and avoid high traffic areas when possible. Share your route with someone you trust if driving alone. Be cautious of other drivers and maintain a safe following distance. Avoid driving during bad weather or at night, especially if visibility is an issue. And keep your distance when you're driving. And make sure that you're not on top of somebody else's rear end as as you're driving, especially when you're older, because your reaction time is not as quick. So if you hit your brakes or they hit their brakes, you may have a couple of second or a millisecond delay, and that could cause you to have an accident. There's something I wanted to talk about when I was a kid. I guess I was 17 and I had just gotten my license. And my father was a truck driver. So he taught me how to drive, and he taught me a lot of the tricks of the trade about how to use your mirrors when you're driving. I've seen so many people that when they're driving, they're just focused ahead of them. They're not looking at the mirror here. They're not looking at the mirror there. They're not looking at the rear view mirror. And this is something you should be aware of. This is something you should do all the time. Now, I know a lot of the new cars have sensors. My car has a sensor, so if somebody's on the left hand side, there's a little light that comes on. If somebody's on the right hand side, there's a light that comes on under the mirror area on the right hand side. But again, getting back to that incident when I was 17 years old, I was coming down the hill, toward my house, and it was a major highway at the time. Excuse me. And as I'm at the bottom of the hill looking to make a left hand turn, the light was red. So I was just waiting. And all of a sudden, I looked in the rear view mirror. And, the rear view mirror, because I was in a down position, uh, I saw at the top of the hill this dump truck, and he was barreling down. And I kept looking at it, and I said, he is not going to be able to stop. So I made a quick decision. I looked to the left, there was nobody there. I looked at the incoming traffic, even though the light was red, there was nobody there. So I made a left hand turn real quick and got out of that guy's way that was barreling down on me. And lo and behold, he had lost his brakes. So when he came down the hill, he kept going through that intersection, and he stopped eventually about 100 yards up on the other side of the highway. And I said to myself, I would have been killed. There was no doubt about it, because he was loaded, and he had a full capacity on his dump bed. And I said, no, I wouldn't be here probably doing this video right now, because I would have been either seriously injured or killed in that incident. So this is something that I've always remembered, and I always, to this day, use my mirrors, look ahead naturally, but use my mirrors to see my situational awareness of your surroundings, because it's important. You got to be, I guess the term is defensive driving. You got to be defensive and watch what everybody else is doing. This is the last part of my video. I'm going to encourage you to stay prepared and be aware without living in fear. And if you have the opportunity to subscribe to my channel, if you haven't already done so, I would appreciate it very much. Please like this video. If you have any comments, good, bad, or indifferent, please leave them. And if you have any comments regarding some of the situations that you've been in that could help other viewers if they look at the comments, please put them underneath the video. Again, thank you for listening. I appreciate it, and you have a good day. I'm John. Thank you for coming back and listening to my channel. Uh, Today, I want to talk about situational awareness for seniors. That means being safe and aware. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down into three parts. Uh, the first part is going to be situational awareness when you're out and about and you're doing your common everyday activities. The second is situational awareness when you're home. Uh, you know, where you have to be safe, and there's things that you should do. And the other thing is they're going to be talking about being in a car, and things that you should do and you shouldn't do. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it right now. This is going to be a blooper section. I'm not sure if I like this one, so I'm going to cut it right now. I'm going to stop recording. Hi, I'm John, and welcome back to my channel in John's Universe. If this is your first time here, I appreciate you coming in and listening to me. If you've been back a couple of times, again, I appreciate your continued viewing and patronage. All right, today I want to talk about a very essential thing for seniors, and this is staying safe and aware, situational awareness for seniors. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it up into three segments: situational awareness when you're out and about doing your everyday activities, situational awareness when you're home, specifically, if you're home alone and there's nobody around that you can contact, things that you should do to ensure your safety. And the third part is situational awareness when you're out and about in your car. And there's certain things you should and shouldn't do when you're out in your car. So let's get right to it. Now, when you the first thing you should do when you're out and about, and for situational awareness, is take a good look at your surroundings. Notice people, notice vehicles and unusual activity. I guess what I'm trying to say is put your spidey sense on and just be aware of your surroundings. Identify well lit areas and areas for exit in case you have to exit in a quick manner. Uh, and, situational awareness really can be, I guess, explained as being present and alert to one's surroundings. All right, I'm going to cut this because I don't like this. I'm not going to close this video yet. Take a self defense class designed for seniors. There's a lot of those out there. I belong to a senior center, my local area here, and I'm sure they have classes that you can get into. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this video right now, and I'm going to well, actually, no, I'm not going to close it yet. Hi, I'm John, and thank you for coming back and listening to me. Yeah, I don't like that either.